Marketing a life is something that we all must do. The marketing of you, the marketing of me, the marketing of the people who help us to make the world a better place is literally what we're doing all day long. You see, when we talk about others, we literally are marketing them. If we're lying about their lives because we don't really know their lives and we don't really live their lives, that's a problem in the marketing world. If we're being manipulative, if we're trying to make someone look ill, we have manipulated their marketing. That's the reality today, that people make decisions about other people's lives, and it's literally not their right to do so. Rights is something that we must really look at. The rights are bestowed upon us by the Constitution of the United States. The amendments allow us to produce rights in this world with regard to freedom of mobility, freedom of movement, that is, and freedom of religion, or freedom of time, and freedom of space, freedom to congregate, freedom to meet others, freedom to study what we like, and freedom to do many little things in this land called America. In reality, we have lots of people in the world who are looking for hope, help, and hospitality from others. I literally just visited a church when I was running out of gas completely. My funds had been locked in an account from some reason of accidental or otherwise, and I literally could not produce money for gas. I visited a church, I listened to the pastor for the entire hour and plus that he spoke, and I literally read all the missions and mantras, all written in their bulletins and on the walls decorating the church. I literally just wanted to meet a few people to try to sell one or two products to allow me to purchase some gas to get me where I needed to go next. That man of that congregation literally told me, "I don't know you from Adam." And I thought, in the Bible times, Jesus went to many places. He met many people that he didn't literally know. He had many people move towards him because he was literally the Messiah, is true. But in truth, he never judged people like that. He never literally said, "I don't know you," because obviously as Lord God, he knows everyone's soul. But in truth, my point is that Jesus never turned a person away. Now let's really think about the practicality of the situation. I literally needed to produce $20 of cash. I had just used my last cash because my car ran out of gas. I had to spend $11, a ridiculous amount, on a 1-gallon gas tank that I literally had to fill twice, walking twice 8 blocks to fill it up, the tank, just to get myself to the next town, and I was literally on fumes when I arrived. But I made it, based on that last $20 I had in my pocket. But then I was worried about protecting my life's possessions, and I literally told him that, I think. And in reality, what did he say to me? Was that he didn't know anyone who could help me. Now let's literally talk about this just for a moment in time. I realize that there are men in this world and women in this world who literally look for a handout all the time. They put their hand out in front of people. They stand on the street corners because they have gone through loss. They have gone through suffering. They have gone through things mentally that have made them unable, unwilling, something, to not get up and go get a job. That is not my case. My little case was that my funds got locked, and I have discovered much of my funds have appeared to be stolen, something that I've looked at and worried about for months and let the bank know long ago, and yet it appears to have occurred because there's far less in my account than there should be based on what I've literally spent and the receipts that I have to prove it. But in reality, that's not the point of this conversation. The point is that we were talking about producing literally $20, 20 whole dollars. I didn't want the handout. I wanted to try to sell something for that value or a better so that I could literally produce the gas. It was a Sunday. This man dismissed everybody in the congregation instead of saying, "How can I help you?" first, before everybody left. If he had literally said, "What is it that you need?" as I was standing there going through the greeting line, he might have been able to talk to people and say, "Hey, we've got somebody who needs help here. Let's figure out what we can do together." And my guess is that there would be people in that church who would literally open their pocketbook and just give me the $20 bill, which I would feel humbled about and probably want to get their mailing address to mail it back to them. because that's the type of person that I am. I don't believe in getting handouts. I have been incredibly humbled at the generosity of my living Father when He would help me in times of need. And I always felt somewhat humiliated when those moments came about, but at the same time, the bank of Dad was always a cheaper loan rate than other places. That has been a point of consternation with my siblings who openly have husbands who can produce a living. Now, whether or not their husbands were real big breadwinners or not is not my point of this message. The point is that in truth, a congregation of 20 people could have literally picked up $1 out of their pocketbook and provided it to me, or literally one person in a congregation of 50 or 60 might have said, "Hey, I'd like to buy that little thing you've got there for $20. You see, the man just decided that he was going to judge me in that moment. That he was going to say, "I don't know you from Adam. I don't know anybody I can introduce you to see if you can sell them something." And literally, he didn't offer to buy one thing. He didn't even ask me what it was I had for sale. And this was a pastor of a church that had just literally had a sermon that very morning, which is why I was led to that place, and I'll talk more about how I get led places, but literally led to that place to hear a sermon that was basically entitled Serving Others. Now, do you literally think God was in me when I rebuked him a little bit in what I said to him? When he said he didn't know me well enough, and I literally said, so really the sermon wasn't really on track or true. He literally didn't quite take that in well. You see, a man of God would really take the rebuke well and would simply say, "You're absolutely right." He was literally talking about how people in the congregation need to serve other people's needs, and here in front of him stood a total stranger, like the man on the road to Samaria. I believe that was the title of the particular chapter in the Bible, and I'm no perfect Bible expert, and I don't have my book in front of me to tell you. But there were strangers on that road, and only one person stopped to literally help another. Wasn't that the purpose of that story and parable that Jesus told? Or that was passed down through generation to generation into the literal Bible that we currently have today. But isn't that the point? That here stood in front of him, then the very day of his sermon, that he talked about serving others, a man who needed to be served. A man who literally only needed $20 worth of help. Now, my product cost $40 or $50, and in truth, there had to be someone literally in his congregation in some pain that might have enjoyed hearing about a science and all natural technology, literally, totally made of herbs, that might help them with their arthritis or something else going on for them in their health. But that man, in his infinite wisdom, felt that there was no possible person who could ever possibly think of helping an individual by purchasing something that would allow them to put food on their table or simply put gas in their vehicle. So you see, when we're looking at helping people, we have to really look at how do we help them. Are we helping them achieve their goals, or are we simply saying no because we have the power to do so? I realize that there are people who go in and beg and panhandle. I am not one of them. And literally, if he had taken a moment to look me up online, he might have seen that. So when we're really talking about serving other people, our first most important question that we should ask not only ourselves but literally them is, how can I help you? When I told him how I could be helped, he literally just flat out said no. He didn't take any brain work to look it over. And here's the crazy thing. I went to a couple shops after I left the church. I literally said, are there other churches in town or something? Because I had forgotten one important fact that anybody who was trying to help me could have remembered. And in truth, I got the prompting in my mind as I went into the third place I was trying to find some help in. And the prompt was, hey, you can write a check. Now, literally, let's think about the comedy of that. How many of us write checks today? If we do, they're usually for large things or rentals or utilities. I hadn't even remembered, not even literally remembered 1 second, that I had a checkbook that might actually work. And in that moment in time, I could go in and talk to a group of ladies, and they're always the best to talk to when they're in a group and they're a certain age demographic. You can always tell based on what they're wearing whether or not they're the right ones to approach. And I said, hey, do you know where I can get a check cashed? They all piped up with different ideas of how to help me. Now look at the significant difference. These were a bunch of ladies waiting for their meal sitting in a McDonald's versus a man that I literally listened to for an hour talking about serving others. So this has been my audio cast. This is Blake Ensign of Blaze Communications LLC, encouraging you to really listen to the needs of others today and not harm them in your concept of helping them.